This is Satireknight, valiant reviewer of terrible fantasy and sci-fi books, movies, and TV shows. So by way of introduction, I've actually been on YouTube for a while and have posted some vlog reviews in recent months, and I hope to get into serious reviewing in the near future. So when the awesome YouTube reviewer Guestsheaux announced another Guestsheaux month, I decided to throw my non-existent hat into the ring. And my choice of review? Yep, I'm shooting for the big one. No mercy. Help me, please. So, a quick bit of backstory for anyone who has never seen a review of this movie before. All two of you. Foodfight was intended to be the Toy Story of corporate brand icons such as Charlie the Tuna, California Raisins, Mr. Clean, Mrs. Butterworth, and, well, let's face it, most of the mascots here are either made up for the movie or are mean-spirited parodies. To make matters worse, director-slash-producer-slash-writer Lawrence Kasanoff had no idea what he was doing, and the footage for the movie was allegedly stolen partway through production. I have no idea why this happened, but it did. And so not only was a lot of money flushed down the drain, but Kasanoff actually changed animation styles from a more exaggerated Looney Tunes style to motion capture. To make matters worse, the movie was disgustingly over budget, overdue, and eventually was auctioned off for only $2.5 million. This can only hurt me, so let's get on with it. It begins in an ordinary supermarket, run by a man who is stuck in a permanent squat.
It's closing up. Nothing much happens around here after dark.
Haha, it's funny, because things happen after dark. So the lights go off, only to come back on again. And now the aisles have transformed into a massive city populated entirely by Ikes, or icons, who are the representative of each brand product in the store. So many questions. First, is this actually physically happening? Does the inside of the supermarket actually change whenever the store closes? To bring up Toy Story, it had a pretty clear-cut, non-transformative explanation for all that was happening. Andy's room didn't become a different place when the toys were active. They were simply active when no one was looking. Also, this takes place in one supermarket. One. So, if these creatures are representative of their brands, does that mean a different version of them exists in every supermarket? Or do they dwell in another dimension that represents all supermarkets? We haven't even met our protagonist yet, and already I don't understand what's going on. Speaking of our protagonist, let me introduce you to Dex Dog Detective, who is fighting an obese rat and 3 naked mole rats in order to rescue a set of decapitated kitten heads in a basket. I just spoke that sentence out loud.
If I had a raisin for every time I've heard that one.
Is that a saying? He distracts the henchmen with a piece of cheese and causes them to plummet to their horrible deaths. Then he turns his attention to...
Hey, it's just you and me, fat cat.
Fat cat? No, he's a rat. This movie was in production from 1999 to 2013. How the fuck did nobody catch this?
I just want to be loved. Is that so wrong?
I like to think that's the movie talking directly to the audience. Fortunately, gravity doesn't exist in this world, and a waiting crowd is there to tell Dex Dog Detective that he's the best there ever was.
What's your secret, darling?
The secret's inside.
Sounds like the catchphrase of an inspirational porn. We're introduced to Daredevil Dan, a chocolate squirrel. Yes, I said that. Who is Dex's best friend? Dex is planning to propose to his girlfriend Sunshine Goodness, and is quite nervous.
Oh, what the... You get 4 carrots! What did you do? Rob the food bank?
Yes, that is what passes for wit in this movie, and the addition of Dan really gets across one of the movie's biggest problems. The animation. All the animation involves motion capture actors who clearly don't know how to do it, and it causes the actors to have this strangely weightless, hyperactive look. It's even worse because their faces have this blank, dead expression all the time. And, just as bad, the background characters often do random things in the background. Monkeys could have animated this better. So Dex prepares to propose to What? What in hell is that? Furry fantasy cat girl thing?
Hey, Sunshine!
Oh, nice. You couldn't even get your layers in the right order.
Up there with those itsy-bitsy hairless hamster henchmen.
Are you trying to make me motion sick?
It warms my heart the way you love my raisins, tough guy.
Is that some kind of sexual innuendo? So yes, this is Sunshine Goodness, a catgirl abomination who is the Ike for a raisin brand. And in a sin against God and nature, she's in a relationship with Dex, an anthropomorphic dog. And, movie, in the decade plus that you were in production, did nobody tell Casanoff that raisins and chocolate are actually quite toxic to dogs? Stop showing upskirts. This is a kid's movie.
You want a lick?
Or maybe it's not. But while they're preparing for dinner, Dan crashes his plane and Sunshine frolics off to find him. But then she never comes back, and Dan never saw her.
You know our rules. We gotta be out of sight before the market opens.
Or you'll be frozen forever. And 6 months later, gah! What in fuck is that thing? What? Is that guy having a seizure? Human beings don't move like this. Cartoons don't move like this. This is like a human being trying to act like a stretch and squash cartoon. And who is voicing this abomination?
Customers won't know how they lived without brand tags. Survival of the fittest, Leonard.
Christopher Lloyd, no. What is your attraction to bad movies? Knights of Bloodsteel, Suburban Commando, A Million Ways to Die in the West, Oogie Loves, Dorothy and the Witches of Oz. And this thing? So this walking horror is a representative of Brand X. What is Brand X? I don't know. It's never actually explained. And this doesn't make much sense, because despite the constant product placement in this movie, most of the brands we see are fictional. So, is Brand X supposed to be some sort of evil mega corporation? Apparently not, because the store owner has never heard of them. Is it supposed to be a generic brand? Well, that would make sense, except that generics are usually associated with a store. Again, he should know. And if you need further proof of the representative's evil, he flattens a bag of chips. You know, completely flattens, with no sign of anything inside.
Never opened, never enjoyed.
Oh, get a life. And the outrage of a bag of chips being brutally murdered has massive consequences. No, not really. And it seems, in the last 6 months, Dex has apparently ditched the detective business in favor of running a nightclub and having terrible symbolic dreams. A guy loses his blonde true love suddenly and unexpectedly, so he leaves behind his old life and opens a nightclub with his black best friend. This is starting to sound familiar. Then Dex has to rescue a penguin from a sentient piece of shit? I mean, I know it's meant to look like a weasel, but it's too shiny and smooth to not look like a piece of shit.
Perhaps you desire a companion for those lonely bachelor nights.
Yeah, I don't think talking pieces of poo are Dex's thing. And, wait, look at that. Is that an inflatable sex doll?
I am the weasel for you.
Plus, now we're adding a creepy little guy that nobody likes into the mix. Again, this sounds oddly familiar.
You despise me, don't you?
Yes, I do. Next scene, please. So at the Copa Banana, everyone is rejoicing that Dex exists, and inside everyone is doing the full-body spasm dance. Until... I think she's meant to be hot, especially since her footprints actually burn the carpet. But the blank, dead eyes and expressionless face just make her look like she's wearing a giant doll head.
Of all the produce bars in all the supermarkets in all the world, she had to walk into mine.
What does that even mean? That comment only makes sense if he knew her already, and since her brand has never even been stocked there, clearly he doesn't. And wait, that line... They wouldn't. But then a potato chip mascot gets pissed at Lady X because her creepy representative stamped on one of his chip bags. and then Dan defends her so he can get into her pants.
Foodfight!
Technically, doesn't that apply to all fights in this world? So a fight breaks out, and for some reason everybody joins in. Everybody. Not just the people who actually have a beef with each other. Every single person. Dex tells all the fighting people to get out, and Dan leaves to have sex with Lady X. And no, I'm not kidding. Not that this stops her from chasing Dex too.
Last year I was recalled, but I'm changed now.
Remember this. It will be important. She wants him to forget about Sunshine Goodness and get with her, and her perfume seems to have an aphrodisiac effect. Ew, is this bestiality? Actually, his relationship with Sunshine raises the same questions. She's mostly human, and he's a dog. Is this movie promoting offenses against God and nature? But Dex is called away to the aftermath of a riot. Why did the riot happen? I have no idea. It's never explained.
We're the soul of our products. Without us, they're gone. Real fast.
Again, remember this. It will be important. So yeah, all the icons involved in the fight, they're now all dead. And their products are dead with them. Because they were fighting each other. And yeah, according to this movie, products don't go bad because they're made of materials that eventually lose their moisture or will attract harmful bacteria or fungi. They only go bad when their icon is retired.
Rigor Moldus has set in.
The worst part is, I bet Casanova thought that was really witty. Lady X suggests that Dan is planning to get revenge on the Salt Foods because he got into a single punch-up with the potato chip Ike. But even though his best friend is implicated in a riot that has caused dozens of deaths, Dex refuses to get involved. And then he decides to get involved. What is he going to do with that? Price someone?
Brand X replacements for every Ike lost last night.
We were told that Brand X was a detergent. Now it's also all sugary and salty foods?
Now how'd that Mr. Clipboard guy know?
Wait, are you aware of what happens in the real world? Can you actually see and hear what happens in the store? And while the Ikes are panicking, Lady X spasms her way into the room with these walking infected scabs. I don't know what they're supposed to look like or sell, but who in their right mind would buy anything represented by these things? Actually, if this is supposed to be a generic brand rather than a specific corporate brand, why does it have Ikes at all? I have shocking news for Casanova. Generics don't have mascots. They tend to rely on lower prices to attract buyers. She points a finger at Kung Tofu, with no proof or evidence, but that's enough for Brand X to literally take over the city.
But I, Kung Tofu, am innocent.
Yeah, add that to the long list of problematic ethnic stereotypes, right along with the moose and flying squirrel. Hey, wait a minute.
Because I care what happens to each and every Ike of you.
The word is one. You never hear people saying each and every person of you. Funny thing is, this transparently evil speech is the kind that's always applauded during election cycles. So the crap weasel gives Dex a tip about where Dan might be headed.
I know Dan, he'd never leave the scene of a crime, not even for a hot dish like Lady X.
Yeah, from what we've seen of Dan, he's clueless, excitable, dumb, can't actually fly, and is horny as hell. He totally would. Oh, and there's a running gag about horrible things happening to the crap weasel, usually without an actual reason. It's like he's in a Final Destination movie. Dex manages to infiltrate Lady X's giant fucking citadel, and is immediately caught by Lady X. Great detective there. And then they do the tango for no reason, smashing half the stuff in the room with the awful artwork.
How about joining me in a warm rinse?
I'm not that dirty.
Oh, but being filthy can be loads of fun.
Why would you want a rinse if you like being dirty? Oh, I get it. Her hair is made of solid plastic. She can just spray it with a hose. So she tells him Dan is okay for the moment, but he won't be for much longer unless he decides to...
Join me, and together we can rule the galaxy.
Yeah, that. Then she bludgeons him. I can see why he's such a brilliant dog detective that everyone relies on him. He then wakes up to discover that Dan is there, and Dan tells him that somehow off-screen, he's discovered that Lady X has giant flying exobytes. Exobytes? I assume he means exabytes. Exabytes are a digital information unit that equals 1 billion gigabytes. I don't understand why it's in this movie, which is supposedly themed around brand products in a grocery store. Did he just hear that Brainiac had exobytes and decide to rip it off? She tries to burn them alive while her minions brutally torture and kill more Ikes. I really don't care about any of these people. So how does Dex find his way out? There's a sock in the dryer, and...
Socks! That's it! Socks always escape from the dryer.
That is the stupidest escape I've ever seen. Casanov, you should be ashamed of yourself. They then catch a glimpse of Lady X's... Really, movie? Really? You're gonna go with the cheapest possible villain option. You're gonna go with Nazi imagery. You're gonna shamelessly compare generic brands at a store to the fucking Nazis.
They're building an entire army of robotic exobytes.
How? How do they do that? Their lives and surroundings are based on their existence as Ikes. The trees, the buildings, the clothes, Dan's plane, they're all part of their corporate mascot images. So where did they get the materials to create exobytes? Actually, now that I think about it, what was the Copa Bananas basis? After an inspirational speech, Dex randomly drops his months of self-loathing and grief, and decides to visit...
Brand XO! Brand XO! Discontinued! Oh, but there's so many noses left to blow in it. You could try, but you can't reach them. Do you understand what I'm saying? Humans and we're toxic. And highly addictive. Whoa, addictive.
Oh man. This can't be real. I know I said the animation was ugly before, but this is like an assault on my eyeballs. This is disgusting. Oh, and as the final offense, he's a Jewish stereotype. A giant nose. This movie is all kinds of class.
Why not, let's see, Dr. Pepper, Dr. Scholl's, Dr. Feelgood!
I have shocking news for the movie, but Dr. Feelgood is not a brand. It's a slang term for heroin. It was also the nickname of a guy who injected JFK with speed. And Hitler's personal physician. None of those things should be for sale in a supermarket. He reveals that Brand X's secret ingredient is actually toxic and addictive to humans. What is it? I don't know, but I'm going to assume it's crack. And again, remember that this is a condemnation of generic brands. This movie is depicting them as being Nazis and putting crack in their products, even though those generic brands are usually the same stuff as the name brands, just slightly cheaper. And you know what? I buy a lot of generics. Sure, some of them aren't as good as specific brands, but a lot of them are as good, or even better. Are we expected to feel sorry for the poor wealthy corporations that aren't getting enough money because people are buying store-name products? Yeah, not going to do that. These aren't mom-and-pop products, or some teeny company that is trying to stand out. These are major corporations.
If we could just get this info to our market's corporate headquarters, they'd have to recall Brand X.
Okay, this line suggests that Brand X is not the generic brand, since those are generally the brand of the stores they're sold in. They also don't have their own corporate headquarters. However, that doesn't explain the name Brand X, or why this particular brand of products, which includes everything rather than just a specific range of products like most companies, would need to be recalled if it weren't the generic brand. A company recalls its own products, not anyone else's. So yes, this is a generic brand. Also, is this supposed to suggest that there was no corporate approval of Brand X being put on the store? The crazy old man just lets random people charge into his store and put their products on the shelves without approval? Yeah, that doesn't seem likely. So, the answer to their problem? They're going through the store during the day. Wait, do they even exist during the day? I mean, the store only changes at night when no one is around. So, what are the buildings and streets if they're not the aisles and displays? Does that mean the Ikes exist in the real world and they're just hiding? Does that mean that their world is somehow hidden behind the products? What is this place? How do they even know what happens in the store? Why are there cockroaches on my face? So suddenly they're in the real world, where shoppers zoom around at light speed. Don't ask me how, my brain just exploded. But they've been followed by one of Brand X's walking warts, who threatens to cannibalize them. That's nice. Holy fuck! This isn't even inept animation. This is one of the ugliest things I've ever seen. I literally feel sick looking at these things. Also, why would someone who can't be bothered to take their hair out of curlers be wearing a pearl set? But Dex saves Dan again by flying in on a soda bottle. Do soda bottles fly? It would make a little more sense if it were spraying like a rocket, but no, it's just levitating. And suddenly they're back in the Ike dimension. Nothing in this world makes sense. Ever. Did they just rip through the fabric of reality? Fortunately, the owner of this store is deaf and blind, so he fails to notice the flying soda bottle with the two tiny animal men flying between his legs. Oh, and apparently the store is closing. I mean, God forbid they have waited another 10 minutes and just snuck into the office when people had left. And when they get into the office, it looks nothing like an office. It also has an ugly, chocolate sexual serial vampire who apparently wants to fuck Dan. Don't ask questions, it will just hurt you further. He also seems to be constantly telling jokes that land like a lead balloon.
Chocolate vampire used to have cards. Do you work out? I use the Thigh Master.
They ask the computer, Ike, to bring up a complaint form, which realistically would probably amount to nothing. So while the vampire tries to molest Dan, Dex finds out that Brand X is actually responsible for recalling Sunshine Goodness. Which doesn't make any sense, because like I mentioned, corporations cannot recall other corporations' products. But the bad guys are sealing them in by gluing the door shut. This is the manager's office. I hate to break it to you, but I'm pretty sure in the morning he's going to want to go in there. He'll probably just swab some nail polish remover on the edges. Also, we're told about Priscilla Pusley's genetically giant prunes, which had terrible sales and were recalled. I wonder why. Maybe it's because its Ike looks like Terry Gilliam's vomit. And wow, I wonder what she looks like now.
But I'm changed now.
She's also hideous. No, I mean, come on, she's very unattractive.
Who cares what you think of a woman's looks? The only person you want to fuck is a chocolate squirrel. So they send a form to recall all the Brand X products, which makes no sense and would take forever, but Brand X cuts the power. And yes, they're now apparently in a hybrid world that is part real world, part Ike world, and I'm just giving up on this part of the story making any sense.
There are only two kinds of product icons. Desirable, like me, and undesirable. We must send all the undesirables where they belong. The expiration station. Do you see an Ike with an inferior product? Soon we will become the model of excellence, until the entire world is just like us. One store, one X.
Yes, we get it. The Nazi imagery is not subtle or clever. Is she crying diarrhea? Thank you for that. Why are there so many crotch shots of Lady X? Meanwhile, that useless penguin character has summoned all the remaining Ikes to the Copa Banana, and I think this is supposed to be a rousing and inspiring moment, but I'm just thinking that only 3 of these characters have had any substantial screen time, and only 1 has character development. But oh no, the bad guys have turned up, demanding their allegiance.
You will sing your allegiance to Brand X. Brand X, Brand X, it's different but all the same.
What does that even mean? They apparently have a wide variety of products that do various things, including dish detergent and foodstuffs. But the good guys are defiant, so they
Shootless.
do that, and then they I can't believe I'm seeing this. And wait, this is the scene from Casablanca. Remember that scene where the Nazis are drowned out by the French national anthem? This is the same scene, except it makes no sense here. And wait a minute. This movie is about a hard-bitten guy who fell in love with a blonde woman, but she disappeared suddenly without explanation, and he ends up opening a nightclub with the help of his black best friend while he broods about losing his lady friend. There's a creepy Weasley guy, and Nazis, and Why is this in a children's movie? Yes, they may be somewhat aware of Casablanca, but this scene makes zero sense in context. Children will not understand the significance of it. And the silliest thing is the message in the lyrics that the name brand Ikes are fighting for freedom and working together, and this makes them the moral superiors of Brand X. Yet they're corporate mascots. Corporations by nature do not get along, and they want to stamp each other out, because each competitor means more people not buying your product. No, they don't, because, again, competition. These Ikes are actually in competition with each other. Chocosexual vampire? Dex? They're both sugary cereals, so they're technically enemies. You know, if you use logic and don't just assume that all corporations are united against the evil generics. Seriously, what did generics ever do to Casanov, and what did name brands ever do for him? So Brand X starts marching on them.
Let's do it.
Please don't. Watching you do it is my worst nightmare. Dex gives a rousing speech that I'm just going to overdub, because the one I'm using didn't suck.
Sons of Gondor! Of Rohan! My brothers! I see in your eyes the same fear that would take the heart of me. A day may come when the courage of men fails, when we forsake our friends and break all bonds of fellowship. But it is not this day.
We have to defend ourselves and people everywhere.
No, you don't, because no product is sold to actually help people. They're all ways of getting money. So Dex's genius plan? Throw food at them. No, I don't know where all this food came from.
Wait! Marshmallows! What? It's hot chocolate.
Was that supposed to be funny? Oh, and that gave the Brand X troops several vital seconds to get away. But they didn't. They just stand there and wait to have things thrown at them. And because this movie is horribly inept, every single thing thrown at anybody turns into splashes of liquid. And they get sprayed with snot. Lovely. How is there still half an hour of this movie left?
Attack and annihilate! Fools! I'll destroy them all!
Have you figured out that she's the villain yet? So Lady X sends in even more troops with more weaponized foodstuffs, and I think I just figured out where the exobites came from.
Whip them! Whip them bad!
Is that seriously a reference to Devo? So the exobites do something, not sure what it is, and the good guys fight back with bubblegum. Also, Dan is fucking around for no particular reason.
I'm exquisite!
Exquisite!
But who's we gonna find to slithers and filthy slime through the sewers, go into enemy territory, and cut the power lines to start the lightning storm?
That's your plan? I hate to break it to you, but I don't think that's going to actually work if it's that complicated. Also, does cutting the power lines involve cutting power in the actual store? And where did the lightning storm come from? See, this is why Chekhov's guns exist. Speaking of Chekhov's guns, this is when the Peter Lorre Crapweasel appears and offers to cut the power lines for them.
Say it much.
Oh! Note to self, new friends not working out.
That is shit spraying out of the ground in a kid's movie. So the remaining Ikes create aluminum foil lightning rods, which allows for more toilet humor. And more stuff about the vampire wanting to fuck Dan.
This can't be happening. You lied to me.
I'm sorry. Was this a subplot? And oh no, one of the exobites hits that annoying childlike penguin and he dies. I think I'm supposed to care, but I really don't.
No one puts Polar in the freezer.
Because that truly shows grief. Dirty dancing jokes.
Use the whole box. Polar would have liked it that way.
I'm getting better! No, you're not. You'll be stone dead in a moment.
And then it's revealed that the exobites are injecting them with anti-preservatives. Because preservatives are wonderful and good for us and we should all love them. So Dan flies Dex over to the Brand X citadel, and Dex just kinda jumps out of a plane in midair so he can sneak back in and single-handedly destroy their entire poison supply. With one grappling hook, in about 2 seconds. But oh noes, Sunshine Goodness is still alive and the bad guys have her. Except she shouldn't be alive. Remember that earlier scene when they said the destruction of an Ike leads to its products spoiling? And we later discovered the reason Sunshine vanished was that she had been recalled? So yeah, her Ike should be gone from this place. The only way she can still be here is if her product is still here.
On your knees, dog.
This is not that kind of movie.
You cold-farted itch.
I just ran out of ways to say I hate this movie.
Her first. Make him watch his sunshine fade away.
With great pleasure.
He's going to jerk off as he kills her, isn't he? So he pulls the rug, and the rug doesn't move at the other end, yet the bad guy still falls down. This movie had a budget of $45 million US. For comparison, that is actually more money than the original Toy Story had.
I thought that only worked in movies.
Calling attention to your cliches doesn't make them less cliched.
Raisins, Dad!
Why is she suddenly not tied up? So she tosses him raisins, which he spits into the caulking gun, and that somehow makes it fire at the bad guy.
Well, this isn't very much fun, is it? I think I just wet myself. It feels rather nice. Oh.
I have no words.
What have they done to you?
Blinded her, apparently. She's not looking at his face. So it turns out that Lady X used Sunshine's essence as a perfume. Wait, I thought that was her secret ingredient, which is supposedly addictive and toxic. How do you take the essence of raisins and turn it into crack? The building is collapsing, which they don't notice until they run out, and they're rescued by Dan. But oh no, the creepy man with the giant papier-mâché head appears out of nowhere, and just sort of yells and stomps a lot.
I've got a bone to pick with this guy.
Have you ever even seen him before? And wait, how is a human in their world? So their worlds are different and distinct, but people can go into the Ike dimension, and Ikes can go into the human dimension, and sometimes things exist in both, except sometimes there are distinct borders, and... But they trip the guy, and he turns out to be a human-sized mecha with Lady X inside. Wait, where did she get that? Oh, who gives a shit, it's almost over. And the sudden and shocking reveal that Lady X is actually Priscilla Pusley. She somehow got a full body makeover, and became the icon for laundry detergent instead of GMO prunes. I don't quite understand that connection.
Quick trip to Brazil for a little plastic surgery, and then back for my revenge.
So, Brazilian plastic surgeons can do surgery on a person who is the literal incarnation of a food brand. What?
How did you get in and out of the store? You're an Ike.
First, why did you twirl? And second, you guys can apparently appear in reality and do whatever you want in the presence of humans. Why is leaving the store impossible?
Humans! When you look like this, you can get them to do anything.
He was asking how it was possible, not who let you do it.
Size only counts for men.
Well, my mind just went to a horribly dirty place. I really don't want to think about the sexual favors she had to do for that surgery.
But enough about me. Let's kill you!
Ladies and gentlemen, the only enjoyable line in the entire movie. So she starts beating Dex up, because he's unwilling to hit a woman. So now we have to pretend that Sunshine Goodness, who is a useless damsel and doesn't seem to be able to see, is going to save the day. And she punches Lady X so hard that she becomes ugly again, and everyone stands around and mocks her. Yes, children, your physical beauty is a sign of how good you are inside. And if you are beautiful and evil, it means that you had plastic surgery to change yourself. Remember, goodness equals beauty.
All I ever really wanted was you! Well, you and world domination!
Why would she want him? They didn't even know each other before this. Or is she talking to the audience? Oh, and if you expected any real consequences, Dr. Offensive Stereotype has created an antidote that will magically resurrect everyone who died. Because yes, when food spoils, you can totally just magic it back to being edible. After a terrible moral message, Dex finally proposes to Sunshine, and she clings to him in a creepily sexual manner before they get married in the same clothes they've been wearing through most of the movie. Finally, it's over. I can only assume that Kasanoff saw Toy Story and figured that the idea of the toys having an adventure and their own little community was what made it successful, as opposed to the excellent writing and likable characters, because Foodfight has neither of those things. Instead, it's a pedestrian kiddie retread of Casablanca that never makes enough sense to actually matter. It has giant gaping plot holes and characters who range from meh to disgusting. Nothing here is done well, and what isn't actively offensive and obnoxious is, well, just crass and clueless. And speaking of crass, there is a lot of sexual innuendos in this movie, and because I hate myself, here's every one I spotted.
Oh, mamacita! Yo, sweet cakes! Oh, nice packaging! How about some chocolate frosting?
Get a shelf light.
I like to butter your muffin!
How about joining me in a warm rinse? Oh, but being filthy can be loads of fun. Let's try. I want to scrub your bubbles, Dex.
Come on, baby! Dance your man! Melts in your mouth, not in your hand!
What can I say? Chicks dig chocolate.
Well, you know, I myself appreciate a good darkener.
What? In here? With him? Hey, back off!
And with you on my back yet? Not that I mind that.
Oh, I'm too young to be discontinued. I never even got a chance to play Lick the Icing with sweet cakes.
It warms my heart the way you love my raisins, tough guy.
Size only counts for men.
Clever.
Tell me something. Are those melons real?
Wait. Perhaps you desire a companion for those lonely bachelor nights. Then here's good news.
I love pulverizing.
My secret ingredient. You like it?
It's amazing.
Yup! Who's your sugar daddy? Hands up.
I'm looking for a guy. About your height. Same great build.
So what happened to Dan? You already eat through to his hollow center?
I haven't shown you my secret ingredient.
Perhaps he's been very, very bad. I could just kill you. That would be lots of fun. More fun than a spanking.
We like to look at the table, but I'm stuck in the rod. It's so disgusting. I'm still stuck in the bud. Oh, shit, Martin.
But it didn't rub me out because Lady X digs my fine flavor and also sweet body. Dex, check it out! We got us a hot new delivery, the brand X detergent like Lady X, and she's got a real sweet tooth for chocolate.
All violators will be punished. I do so hope they're violators. I love a good violation. Love anything to do with violation. Oh. Well, this isn't very much fun, is it? I think I just wet myself. It feels rather nice. Oh.
Why are there so many fucking creepy lines in this movie? I know that it often benefits a movie to be a little bit adult in its humor, usually in ways children can't grasp, but this one is just gross. And it's not just one comment that can be misinterpreted. It's a constant barrage of explicitly icky jokes. And not just sexual, but weirdly fetishistic and sometimes rapey. And yeah, it's gross. Not just for the constant jokes about farting, shit, and snot, but the ugliness of what we're seeing. Part of that is the completely inept animation that can't produce lifelike eyes or facial expressions, or even fur and hair. But I don't think even a modicum of competence could have saved this. Also, a lot of the made-up brands are obviously parodies of actual corporate brands. Some of them are actually pretty nasty, which makes me think that those companies told off Kasanoff and this was his revenge. And despite the whole message of the movie is, don't buy the cheaper and probably just as good store brands. No, you need to support the multi-million-dollar corporations, because they are good and pure and unselfish, and generics are evil cannibal Nazis. Fuck? Oh, and if you're hoping for any decent voice work, keep dreaming. They shelled out a considerable amount of money for B and C list celebrities like Charlie Sheen, Hilary Duff, Eva Longoria, and Christopher Lloyd. The only one who sounds even vaguely invested is Longoria, who sounds like she's having fun being transparently villainous. So, all in all, only watch this turkey if you want something to mock with your friends while you drink heavily. Robot, how does it rate?